Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, or Beverly Hills Cop 4, is the fourth installment in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, and we see Eddie Murphy reprise his role as Axel Foley. This movie was released on Netflix on July 3rd, 2024. It runs for 115 minutes long, or an hour and 57 minutes, and had a budget of $150 million. Not only does Eddie Murphy reprise his role as Axel Foley, Judge Reinhold John Astin, Paul Reiser and Bronson Pinchot reprised their role from the franchise, and we see newcomers Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Taylor Page, and Kevin Bacon star in new roles. Axel Foley in this film returns to Beverly Hills after finding out his daughter Jane is in danger, and his partner Billy Rose is also in danger as well. He joins forces with Detective Abbott, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, to take down an operation, a drug operation, where a lot of conspiracy is happening, and where we see that Jane is a lawyer and her client is framed for the murder of a cop. So the story is very, very much relevant for today's standards. I will say this, and I will get this out of the way. The only thing that I didn't like about this movie, and the thing that's bad about this movie, was that it was not released in theaters. This film should have had a theatrical release, especially coming out during the 40th anniversary and the 40th of the first film, which came out in 1984. It's great to see everyone come back. The comparisons of the first movie and the second movie are also in this. The opening sequence in this film with the Detroit Red Wings game and seeing Axel drive the snowplow is kind of reminiscent to the opening sequence in the first movie, where we see him undercover and he's selling Lucky Strike cigarettes. But he's not driving in that. It's just the music. You have the Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters going. I mean, everything just works so well. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Detective Bobby Abbott is really, really good. He wants to crack down on this case that he's working on, but his boss, Chief John Taggart, played by John Ashton, is coming back to reprise the role after 37 years from Beverly Hills Cop 2. He was not in the third movie. Now, Kevin Bacon plays Grant, a kind of police captain in the Beverly Hills Police Department. And if you've seen the trailers and you've seen certain clips, you automatically know he's the bad guy. Once he appears on screen in this movie, you're like, yeah, he's the bad guy. He's a crooked cop. And that's what he is. Not only that, we see Paul Reiser return as Jeffrey, Axel's former partner at the Detroit Police Department, who is now the deputy chief after the former deputy chief, the actor who played him in the first movie and subsequent in the franchise, passed away in real life. We then see Bronson Pinchot as Serge come in, but his character is not really in it. Maybe total, I want to say 10 minutes. Judge Reinhold as Billy Rosewood is not in it that much either. Maybe 20 minutes tops if you put all his scenes together. The comparison with the comedy is really, really good. There are some laugh out moments. There are some interesting moments. But not only is this an action comedy movie, it's also a drama. The relationship between Axel Foley and his daughter Jane is really, really prominent. And he wants to reconcile with his daughter, but she doesn't want any of that because he left and she stayed in Beverly Hills. And the interesting thing is that this movie has been in development hell since the mid-90s, after the third movie was released in 1994, which didn't get much praise or recognition because it wasn't that good of a film. The first two movies are knockout hits, and with this one, this can be compared to the first movie. It's really good. The nostalgic factor is there. The music, the Axel Foley theme song. I mean, people know who Axel Foley is in this movie, and they're like, oh, Foley? They know who he is, and it's really, really good. There are some interesting parts to it where I would have thought Eddie Murphy would have done his, iconic laugh as Axel Foley, but that wasn't in this film. Kevin Bacon as Grant was a good villain, but not the best the franchise has seen. With Chief Taggart, it's really good to see John Ashton's character of seeing his kind of balance out his work life and his marriage life with his wife Maureen, and it just goes to show like what can happen and what's good. The action sequences are great. They're over the top. You can tell there are fun action sequences, some toned down a little bit, not as big as they were with the first two films. Yes, I know I'm comparing it to the first two movies, but this stands on its own where it's the nostalgic factor. If you're a fan of the first two movies, you're going to love this fourth entry. The movie is 115 minutes long, an hour and 57 minutes. You could have maybe cut it down to an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, still get that point across, but also tone down the factor of the father-daughter relationship. But it's really, really prominent, and we don't see that in the other films, but in this one, we do see that. This was a fun movie from start to finish. I mean, having it released on Netflix, of course, it's going to be #1 worldwide for streaming for a few weeks after it's released. But like I said, releasing it in theaters would have probably been the better bet. But I'm sure studios would not have given the budget of $150 million to this film if it was going to theaters, because Netflix gives this movie $150 million. Can do what you want. So I'm pretty sure half the budget went to the actors. And seeing kind of the new faces in this movie was really, really good. And seeing the nostalgic factor was really, really good. There are a lot of reminiscent scenes from the first one. It's done really well. And there are things where Paul Reiser does. It's really good. Bronson Pinchot does. I loved Serge in the first one. And with that whole scene where we're first introduced to him in the first movie is really, really good. And you can see that they're ad-libbing. And you can kind of tell they're doing that with this. But having the dynamic of introducing Axel Foley as a father, has a daughter, and trying him to be that father role, also trying to save his friend, is really, really good. This was a fun movie, start to finish, great. I'm very curious to see where this franchise goes, because like I say all the time with franchises, it's very rare where a fourth movie in a franchise gets better. And this is one of those franchises where a fourth movie in that franchise is really, really good. And it's on par with the first movie, where you see the side-by-side, the comparison, it just works really, really well. 2 was also good. 2 was a solid sequel to the first one. 3, not so much. It just didn't feel cohesive. It just didn't feel right. 3 is known as the Beverly Hills Cop amusement park movie because that's what it is. It takes place in an amusement park. But with this one, it really worked. And having Kevin Bacon in the role as the bad guy was really, really good. And there are some instances where the story does slow down, but it picks right back up. So that's also good to see. For me, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, or as I like to call it, Beverly Hills Cop 4, gets 4 out of 5 stars from me. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What do you think about the aspect of the story, the action, seeing everyone reprise their roles from the previous films that they were in? Did you like that aspect? Did you like that the character of Axel Foley was now a father and now he's playing the father role? And what do you think could happen with this franchise? Do you think we're going to get a 5th movie, or do you think that that's it? It ended perfectly and we should just move on? And what series or what movie in the film franchise is your favorite? Is it part 1, 2, 3, or is it 4? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next review video.